Today's topic is women in prison. No, not like that. Well, sort of like that, not really. Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about Orange is the New Black. Orange is the New Black is a Netflix original based on the book by Piper Kerman. The show tells a generally similar story to the book, although there are quite a few changes. The show follows Piper Kerman as she finds herself in an unlikely situation. She goes to prison. On the outside, Orange is the New Black might look like a drama intended primarily for women, a quote-unquote girl show. I don't really like the term, but you get what I mean. Personally, this show surprised me because I went into it not knowing what to expect. The general atmosphere of the show is upbeat and positive, but a lot of these stories actually take pretty dark turns and are very deep and interesting on their own. There are pretty much three main lines in this show. One is Piper's personal struggle and how she deals with life in prison and how it affects her as a person. Two is Piper's interactions with the other inmates, with the other women in the prison. And three is the personal story of each of these inmates, which most of the time for me was the most interesting part. The characters in this show are extremes, sometimes to the point of stereotypes. While I did feel they relied a bit too heavily on exaggerated personalities for comic relief, they did spend a lot of time fleshing out these characters and making you actually care about them. There is an entire level of stuff that you have to get past in order to get to the true value of this show. In many aspects, Orange is the New Black is a comedy, and a lot of the times the show is genuinely funny, but I felt that most of the time that was like an added bonus, because the stories were good and the characters were interesting. In season 1 at least. We'll get to that in a minute. An important point to make about this show is that there is a lot of nudity. Probably more than they actually needed to tell the story. Just keep that in mind. Depending on where and with who you live, you might be looking over your shoulders. It's like, no, this? What? So as of making this review, Orange is the New Black has 2 seasons on Netflix, and the 3rd is coming up pretty soon. My enjoyment level took a pretty steep drop between season 1 and season 2. Drinking the coffee while the bus rolls by. You are making a lot of noise, bus. I liked season 1 a lot. It was deep, it was funny, the stories were well told, and everything just tied together beautifully. I enjoyed season 2, it was still fun, but it kind of lost the charm. Season 2 was a bit all over the place, the stories were not as interesting, and I was pretty much checking my watch by the end of every episode. I don't even wear a watch. While season 1 focused more heavily on the women themselves and their stories and how they deal with life in prison and how it affects them, season 2 just kind of felt like a show about a prison. Well, Oz was also just a show about a prison, but season 2 of Orange is the New Black felt like a not very interesting show about a prison, I guess. They did also dig into the stories of the inmates on season 2, but it just wasn't as interesting. It might have something to do with the fact that season 2 relied less on the book and the actual experiences of Piper Kerman. It was more just scripted to be a continuation of the show, so it was a bit more fictional. I'm not saying that everything in season 1 is an accurate description of what happened to Piper Kerman in prison, but it was probably more rooted in reality. So I don't know, maybe that's where some of the magic came from. To be topical, I kind of want to compare it to the first Avengers movie and Age of Ultron. The first one was pretty amazing. It was funny, it had a good story, the characters were interesting, and it was actually unlike anything I've seen before. The second one was still a lot of fun, but not as deep, not as good. The comedy was funny, but still kind of a rehash, and the villain was not as cool. And also, I'm pretty sure they could have done with less cheap cleavage shots of Scarlet Witch. That last one was just for the Avengers movie. Bottom line, should you watch it? Well, if you like your drama mixed with comedy, definitely watch the first season. It is very good. The characters, while a bit exaggerated at times, are still very unique and memorable. You don't feel like any of the main cast is just there. Like Age of Ultron, the second season of Orange is the New Black is very much worth watching, despite not being as good as the first. The entire show does feel like a glimpse into the lives of women in prison, which is very interesting. A glimpse, of course, that's kind of peppered with comedy and over-the-top characters, but still, it is very interesting. Season 3 of Orange is the New Black comes out in June, and I will try to have my review up the very same day it drops, just like we did with Bloodline and Daredevil. So have you watched or are you watching Orange is the New Black? Are you going to watch season 3? Once we get a good discussion going, I'll grab some of your comments and we'll make a comment discussion video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, it really helps out a lot. And if you're finding binge watchers for the first time, welcome. We're talking about TV every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with reviews, stories, news, all kind of great things just for you fellow binge watchers and TV lovers. So you can go ahead and click that big subscribe button to join in on the fun, or you can check out any of the other videos on the channel. Nailed it. In any case, keep binging and I will see you next time.